All right. Hi, y'all. Welcome to another episode. Believe it or not, it has been 2 months since my last episode, so I apologize. But a lot has happened to me. A lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of shit in the middle. Okay, so I had surgery about 30 days ago. I had surgery in Rochester. I was lucky as shit. My mother was able to fly in from Texas to hang out with me for that weekend, right? She drove me back and forth to Rochester. And she was with me, and she rubbed my feet, and it's actually hilarious because I hate when people touch my feet. Like, I hate feet in general. I fucking hate my own feet, right? So my mother like drives me up. She's fucking awesome. Love my mother, right? Anyway, so she drives me up. They sit me down like in the little gurney, right? They're doing like my blood pressure, all that kind of shit, getting ready for the IV, right? You know, talking about the procedure, taking my phone away, all sorts of random shit, giving my mom instructions, right? So my mom's with me the whole time, right? So my blood pressure is like fucking off of the chart. It's like 160 over something, right? And my blood pressure is actually kind of low. I don't know why, but it's good. It's like in a healthy range. I'm usually always under 120 over 80. It's usually like 117 over 70 or whatever. Anyway, so they were looking at my blood pressure and they were like, wow, it's really high. Are you nervous? And I'm like, yes, motherfucker, I'm fucking nervous. I was like, for those of you who don't know, and of course I gave, the surgical team like a recap. I was like, Irby of Iraq, the dog that I fucking love and miss every day, she died under anesthesia. So I'm not saying I'm going to die under anesthesia, but I don't feel comfortable about the surgery, right? I'm 50 and a half. The only other surgery I've had in my life, I was like an infant. I wasn't quite a year. It was on my stomach. I don't fucking remember it. So I'm a little freaked out right now, right? So my blood pressure is really high, and like the surgical team's really nice, and they're like, we get it. So they lower the lights. They're like, are you warm? Are you cold? Whatever. They're trying to get me to relax. I'm laying down on the fucking little bed, right? Just stress the fuck out, right? Like, and I'm like, no, I'll be okay. Just give me like a fucking minute, So my mom is one of the nicest, sweetest people on the fucking planet. Is just like, what always works for me? So she immediately goes to my feet, and I have socks on, right? And she's like rubbing my feet. And I'm like, Mom, please stop. Like, I hate when people touch my feet. You may not remember this because you don't see me, every day. Obviously, you live in Texas, I live in New York, but I fucking hate when people touch my feet. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's right. You never get a pedicure. And I'm like, no, a fucking pedicure to me is like fucking hell on earth. I was like, I don't want anybody to touch my feet. I don't like my feet, right? I don't like anybody's feet. So the nurse is like laughing as she's like looking at my blood pressure because my blood pressure is getting higher, right? And so my mom's just like, but it really works for me. So she keeps rubbing my feet. And I'm like, oh, so I love my mother. So my blood pressure is like skyrocketing, right? So I let my mother rub my feet because it's making her feel better. Even though I feel like shit, it's making her feel better. So I'm like, okay, continue, right? So I'm stressed out. The nurse looks at me, looks at my mom, and she's like, you're going to let her continue. And my mom's like, it'll work for her eventually. Cute as shit. Anyway, so like I said, I'm giving them like a recap of why I'm so uncomfortable. I was just like, my dog died under anesthesia. I'm not saying you're going to kill me today under anesthesia. I just can't relax. I'm nervous. I'm a little bit of an overthinker. I'm wondering if I should even have the surgery. What if something goes wrong? Like, I know the surgeon's awesome. He's like won all sorts of awards. Like, I totally get it, but I'm like, I'm freaking the fuck out, right? And people are rubbing my feet right now. So it was like hysterical, right? Anyways, my mom, but Anyway, so they're like, they're trying to like reassure me, calm me down. I'm talking to 69, like over text message, and I think the phone a little bit. And he's just like, it'll be okay. He was like, obviously I'll talk to your mom or you, like when things are over, things are gonna be good. And I'm like fucking freaking the fuck out, right? So next thing I know, like the anesthesiologist guy comes over, he introduces himself. He's like really charming and friendly. And he's like, okay, so I hear you're a little nervous. And I'm like, yes, motherfucker, I'm fucking nervous. And like my shoulders are like fucking solid, right? I mean, they're solid because they're muscular, but I mean, they're solid because I'm like, fuck, right? All stressed out. So he's like, I get it. So he tells me this like funny story, and I remember laughing, but I remember not hearing or retaining one word he said. He was just charming, and I'm like, whatever, so just, whatever, get this over with, right? So he gives me like an IV in my right hand. And of course I'm staring because I'm a little bit of a baby with needles, right? I don't scream or cry. I just have to like watch the needle go in my fucking arm. I don't know. I'm like weird. Anyway, so he's like going through the IV and he's like, okay. So he's like explaining what's going to happen. He's just like, we're going to start to take you out in a couple minutes. And he was like, we're going to put you in a more comfortable room, he was like, and we'll go ahead and get started with, the surgery. The surgery will take about 90 minutes. He was like, your mom will be here waiting for you, blah, 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 whatever. Right. So he's going through the instructions. I'm like, okay, whatever. So he gives me the IV because, I'm fucking staring at it. Right. It's in my fucking arm or my hand, wrist, whatever the fuck. So I'm like watching it. Right. And then that's it. Like my mom like hugs me. She thankfully stops rubbing my feet. She hugs me, gives me a kiss to the forehead. Fucking love forehead kisses. And she's like, okay, I'll see you soon. And I'm like, okay, mom, love you, whatever, right? So literally, like, I'm just like, freaked out, right? And I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I'm just nervous. Like, I'm nervous about the anesthesia. I'm nervous if like the hip surgery's worse. Like, I'm just freaked out. Like, if they can't get Scrappy out, like, I'm freaked out, right? So literally, I'm in the bed, right? Feeling helpless and stressed the fuck out. They're wheeling me. And literally, like, by the time like my bed turned the corner in the hallway, I was completely fucking out, right? Like, I was out quick. Like, there was no mask on my face. It was literally just like, oh my God, this is terrible. I don't want to have this done. And then bam, I'm fucking out like a light switch, right? So I wake up, 90 minutes later, right? How the fuck do I know? But I wake up in a different bed, in a different room. And I'm like half up, half down. Like they have like my neck and head up, but the rest of my body is like kind of laying flat. I'm kind of like in a recliner, I guess, almost bed kind of. Anyway, so my mom's like right there and I hear her on the phone. And I swear I heard 69's voice, unless I just wanted to hear that. But all I heard was a male voice say, is she okay? Right? And so my mom was like, yeah, she's okay. And then I'm like waking up, like, where the fuck am I? Because I'm in a different room, right? And then a couple of female nurses come over, really cute women, by the way. And I'm so sorry I was an asshole, but they come over and they're like, hey, yeah, so everything went really well, but we're going to need a form of payment because we need to have you pay for some sort of fucking pill. I don't know what the fuck it was. And my first thing was like, fuck no, right? Because my mom was like going to her wallet. And I was like, Mom, no. I was like, for one, I don't know where the fuck my wallet is. And for two, like, I'm a fucking like active duty soldier. Like my shit's supposed to be free. So my mom's like, no, I got it. And then like the nurses are like, well, we can't really do anything until we get the payment. And I'm like, fuck no. Like literally all I could say was fuck no. Like I couldn't say like, how much is the payment? What's going on? Like whatever. I was just like, fuck no. So my mom's like, I got it. And then I was like, Mom, no. Right. So I'm like, fuck no. And then no. And then a couple of nurses come over and they're like, it's $6, but we covered it. And I was like, fuck, that's like not what I wanted. Right. I didn't want like the wonderful nursing staff to cover my $6 pill, whatever the fuck it was. I just wanted things to work out the way they're supposed to. Right. So speaking of things that don't work out the way that they're supposed to, I think is the perfect fucking segue. Okay, so my surgery went really well. I'm a little bit more damaged than they thought, so it's probably going to take a little bit longer for me to fully recover. Scrappy's still there, but the labrum tear in my hip has been fixed, right? They did like a little micro tears within my bones. It's like kind of cool, kind of sci-fi, but I'm in pretty good shape. I'm on crutches. Anyway, so going back to the way things don't work out the way that you think they're going to work out, I think is a great segue because, okay, so in this episode, I want to talk about one of my first dates. I want to talk about first date number 8. So this is like a way back one. This is like one of my first dates. This is one of the first dates that in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have been on the date, but fuck it, right? You need to start somewhere, right? For 2, I really shouldn't have been there. And then I also just want to talk about the way you don't think things are going to work out, right? So I want to give you guys an update on number 69. Things are going incredibly well. So fucking well, actually. It's, I don't want to say life-changing because that sounds like a terrible cliche, but it kind of is life-changing. It's been significant and awesome. And there's so many fucking things about this man that I love, and it's exciting. So I'll share more as time goes on. But anyway, so once again, not the way I thought things would work out, right? So okay. So as you guys know, so 69 and I, had that awesome like first date on Christmas, right? And things went really well. It was like a great weekend. We've been in each other's lives every day over text and phone call, audio message, whatever, since October 19th, right? So, and we knew each other for, 10 years on Facebook. We just hadn't met in person, right? Because we had mutual friends, CrossFit, everything, right? Okay, so things went really well in December. We saw each other like a weekend after that. I actually talked about it last episode. And it was the one in January where we took our first photo together, right? The first selfie. And it was like cool as shit and it was awesome. And I'm really glad that, we had that moment, even though I handled it poorly because I'm immature. But it was awesome. So it was a cute photo. I love the photo. And we have since seen each other at least once a month, ever since, December. So, right, it's pretty fucking awesome because it's May. We're about to see each other again, right? This will be weekend number 7 since, the Christmas, which I think is awesome. I think we're lucky and we're making it work and it's fucking awesome. Anyway, so going back to the way things don't work out the way you think they're going to work out, right? Okay, so we have, like as I said, we've been in each other's lives every day since, October 19th. And it's been awesome. Like a big chunk of my day every day is revolving around him and his life and me and my life. And we just share our lives together, right? Which I think is really cool because we, obviously live in different states. We have different lives, but it's really cool to to mesh your lives together, right? At least for me, I think it's cool as shit. And we get along really well. We've had a couple of fights, but nothing crazy. And the fights have been small. They don't last long. Nobody raises their voice. It's just basically like I'm like pretty angry. My phrase is big mad. I'm big mad. So I just need a few minutes to retreat, and I'll reach out to you in a minute when I've calm, right? That's pretty much been the arguments that we've had, and it's been awesome because our personalities mesh so well, right? Okay, so like I said, everything was going really great. We had that great first meet. Everything went really well, and we had the great, selfie first photo, and, things are progressing, right? And it was like one of those things where he's really sweet and romantic, and he's really generous in so many ways. And one of the conversations we had, especially early on, we used to have conversations like literally on the phone for 3-4 hours every night. It was like awesome as shit. Anyway, one of those conversations, I was having a drink, he was having a drink, we were laughing, talking about whatever, just BSing about our days and stuff. And then he said something really sweet, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm in college right now, by the way, and I have to update you guys on that as well. But anyway, so I'm in a writing class, which is fucking torture. But anyway, so I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said something like, I haven't been on a dating app for a while. You haven't been on a dating app for a while. He was like, I know what my intentions are. He was like, I know where I want things to go, right? So he was just like, why don't we consider, a relationship together? Like, we really need to discuss this at some point. And I was like, I don't know. So I kind of brushed it off. I had a drink. He was a drink. Fine. Whatever. We didn't really we didn't really go anywhere with that conversation that day. So anyway, so it was fine. So a couple nights later, a similar position, long phone call. I had a drink, he had a drink. We were laughing, whatever. And then out of the blue, he was like, okay, paraphrasing again, my professor would be happy. He was like, hey, so I thought this was so cute, by the way. He was like, so, when you're buying a car and the salesman's like, hey, so what do I need to do to get you into this car today? And I was like, yeah, I just bought my Jeep in September. And he's like, okay, yeah, so what do I need to do to make this relationship happen? Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to say? Like, I want this, to be just you and me exclusively. And I was like, fuck. And he was really quiet, and I was really quiet. And it was one of those moments where I was like, Tracy, fucking say something, right? But I was so like, well, for one, I'm immature, which no secret, but also I was like, I want to be in a relationship, but I don't want to be in a relationship because I'm also kind of like, this is unexpected. Like, things are awesome. Like, I'm really happy with him. He makes me really happy. Like, I feel like he enhances my life. I hope to hell I enhance his life. I'm 50. Like, I don't want to date anybody else. I'm not on an app. He's not on an app. So like, why not? But I was really nervous, right? So my silence made it worse, right? So he was really quiet. I was really quiet. And he's, of course, a really nice guy. And he was just like, well, okay. And we didn't talk about it, right? And then I felt bad. And then the whole fucking next day, we continued our conversation. We weren't in an argument or anything. I just didn't really answer, I literally said nothing, right? And everybody always says no answer is an answer. Sometimes no answer is like, give me a fucking minute, right? To process. So very next day, I have 2 male friends. One of them, hands down, will be my best friend till the day we die. The other one hopefully will as well, but I know for sure that this man will be my best friend till the day we die. Anyway, I call him, right? And he's just like, what's up, kind of thing, whatever. And I was just like, when you have a minute, because he worked from home, telemarketing, COVID, all that bullshit. He was like, so I was like, when you have a minute, I really need to talk to you. So he's like, okay, cool, whatever. Give me a few minutes, whatever. So he calls me back. I'll call him back. Doesn't matter. And I was like, okay, this is what happened. And he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I know. And he was just like, he's a good guy. And I'm like, I know. And he's just like, Tracy, you've never told me anything about this guy that leads me to believe that he's not a good guy. And I was like, I fucking know. And he's like, Tracy, you're fucking blowing this. And I was like, I know. And he was like, Tracy, I'm like, I know. I fucking know. Like, for one, I know my name. And then for 2, I fucking know that I'm fucking this up, but I'm really nervous. I was just like, I've been married and divorced 3 times. This is kind of like a big fucking deal. Like, and then, my friend is like, Tracy, you're fucking it up. Stop being a fuck up. He was like, you need to like hang up with me, right? You need to call that man, And then he was like, and you need to tell him that you're sorry you're an idiot, and you're sorry you're immature, and you're sorry you're who you are, but you want to be exclusively who you are with him only. And I was just like, I know, right? So sometimes I'm brave. Sometimes I'm not. And it's interesting to me because, I've been in the Army for a while, right? Going on 13 and a half, 14 years, right? Been in a couple scary, scenarios in the Army, Iraq, whatever. And I mean, as far as like bravery, fuck, like I will go charging into whatever to save myself or save, a stranger, child, what have you. Like physically, I will fucking run into gunfire. I mean, I'm deaf because I did a couple shit around explosions I shouldn't have done, right? So like, I know that like, I'm not unbrave for certain things. I'm a fucking coward with my heart and my emotions. So anyway, so I'm like, my friend is like, Tracy, you're fucking this up. Call him back. I know, I fucking know. Right. So I'm like, okay, fine. Fuck it. I'll call her back. Right. So I'm like nervous as shit. It's like 11, 12 o'clock, I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to have like a beer. Like I'm fucking nervous. Right. So I call him and he answers, from my memory, at least he answers right away. I don't know. I remember this vividly because I'm in my kitchen and I have like a beer in my hand and he's quiet, I'm quiet. It's kind of awkward and I hate awkward. I mean, sometimes awkward's good, but at this point, like awkward was bad because I kind of feel like we were on like that moment. It was significant, right? Because like he basically, told me he wanted to be exclusive with me and I said nothing, right? So, and like I said, sometimes, silence is just like, I need more time, right? So I was just kind of like, well, yeah. So I was just talking to so-and-so and he clarified that I'm an idiot and he clarified that I really needed to move quickly and really needed to call you and to tell you something. And he was like, what? Like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, because, I don't want to be on a dating app, and I definitely want to be in a relationship with you. And I really feel like we should go forward. And he was like, what do you mean go forward? And I was like, fuck. I was just like, I know I'm being like totally not romantic and it's just not my strength, but I can tell you without any doubt in my heart, I don't want to date anybody other than you. Right. And we should make it like a thing, right? So of course, paraphrasing again, once again, my professor would be happy. He's really sweet and romantic. And he's like, okay, let's do it. He was like, okay, we're a couple. And I'm like, awesome. Right. And then he's like, okay, so we're both like Facebook, avid users. So he's like, do you want to make this Facebook official? And I'm like, well, yeah, and he's like, okay. And then we're both like, okay, so let's do it. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I was like, but I'm a little nervous because, I've been married and divorced 3 times. Like, are you sure you want to go public with this? And he's like, yeah. So I'm like, okay, fuck it. Right. So we both changed our relationship status. And that is how I am one of the most like immature people on the planet. That's how we ended up in a relationship. Right. So this was January 26th of this year. Right. So we've been Facebook official since January 26th. And even though I kind of made like a disaster out of that, I'm so happy that it happened because I'm happy and I've been happy since then, right? So the relationship's been unexpected, but it's been fucking awesome, right? Okay. Anyway, so as far as first, we've had like the first photo, right? We had the first status change, right? Facebook official kind of shit, right? And then we've had a first meet with like some of his friends. One couple in particular, fucking amazing as shit. Saw them last weekend or the last time that I was in town. It was so much fun. That went really well. It was very seamless. So if things go according to my master plan, then I will have big, exciting news the next time I get around to, broadcasting and recording and broadcasting a podcast. Okay, so the other thing that was the way things don't go as you expect. Okay, so first date number 8, right? It's a little bit of a throwback. Number 8, right, as you know, was on 69 First Dates, right? So met this guy on an app, of course, right? And it's weird because there was like so in my day, right? 7 months ago, when I was on dating apps, Tinder was my favorite. And then I would say Bumble was probably my least favorite. And then there was Hinge. And then I did Facebook dating for a little bit. But anyway, so my least favorite, I would definitely say would be Bumble. And that's where I met this guy, right? I don't know why I don't like Bumble. Yellow's my favorite color. I still don't fucking like the app. I don't know why. Anyway, so I met this guy. He's really cute. He's my type, of course, right? He's got like a beard. He's got tattoos. He like works out. Semi-retired, not as old as you would think, because I say semi-retired, but of course he was like in the military. Anyway, he lives about an hour and a half from me, and we decided to meet at a lake that's not too far from where I live, just about an hour or so. Anyway, so we went. We met at like a little dock. He has a boat. And we just like hung out, like we said we were going to do fishing, but we really didn't. We did a little bit of day drinking. We bullshitted. It was fun. It was last summer or the summer before, whatever. It was like fun. It was like a good day. Right. So when we were coming back, the conversation was fine. It was mostly about like fishing and sailing and all sorts of shit. Cause I'm not a great sailor. I'm not a great fisherman. In fact, I want to learn how to fish and it has not happened. And we talked about it, but it didn't happen that fucking day either. I still have that amazing fucking brand new fishing pole, but that's a whole nother fucking story. Anyway, so it was a good, morning, afternoonish, right? Like we hung out, decent weather. It was fun, a couple drinks, love day drinking. And we decided to go back to like a local harbor restaurant, right? So it was really cool, like we take the little boat back, we park at the little harbor, and we have like lunch, I don't know, late lunch, early dinner, right? So the conversation was okay. It was a good day. The reason I say it's unexpected and I think of this one is because it was like okay enough, right? The guy was cute, he was funny-ish. Yeah, I'm of course way fucking funnier. But a lot of the conversation, like I said, was talking about was like sailing and fishing and the whole bit or whatever. It was interesting because he talked about his mom a lot, and I love my fucking mother more than anybody on the fucking planet, so I'm okay with that. But what was weird was the only other thing he really talked about was working out, which is fine. The guy's in great shape, so I totally get that. I mean, whatever. I wasn't working out at that point as much as I should have. This was before I started having pain with Scrappy and my hip and my labrum tear, whatever. But I just wasn't working out that much at that point. I was like a recruiter, COVID, stressed out, whatever, right? Anyway. So we go to this like restaurant like I talked about, like on the harbor. We sit down, we order drinks or whatever. I order my fish, he orders whatever the fuck he ordered, and then we're talking. And then, as I said, he keeps talking about his mom, and it's interesting to me because I'm just kind of like, well, at least he's not talking about an ex, because that's weird, right? You don't want to be, sitting down across the table from somebody or next to somebody at a table booth, whatever, and they're talking about their ex, because it makes you wonder, like, if you're talking about your ex so much, why the fuck are you here with me, right? Anyway, but whatever. So it wasn't that kind of vibe, but it was a weird vibe, right? So he kept talking about his mom. Anyway, so, I was eating my fish or whatever. It was okay. Anyway, so... My drinks were better than my fish. But anyway, so we're talking. He keeps talking about his mom, and I'm like nodding, but also in my head, like, what the fuck? Like, is what I'm thinking, right? So then he pulls out his phone. It's an Android, so I make a joke about green bubbles, rahaha, laughing or whatever. Or at least I'm laughing. And then he was just like, yeah, so here's my mom. And I was like, excuse me? What? And he was just like, yeah, I'm going to FaceTime her real quick because I told her I was going to meet you. And I was like, what the fuck, right? This is like a first date. And I'm like, why the fuck do I want to meet your mom? And why the fuck do I want to meet her unexpectedly? And holy fuck, the phone is ringing, right? So it was one of those moments where I'm like, this is not what I was expecting, right? I was not expecting the day to go this way. And of course I look like shit. I'd been like on the fucking lake, like my face is all red. I mean, I have like rosacea anyway on my fucking cheeks. So I'm like all fucking red. I'm all sweaty. The little bit of makeup I had's fucking gone, right? I was like, what the fuck? Like, so anyway, so the phone's ringing. I'm like, holy fuck, I look like shit. I probably smelled. Not that it matters because it's FaceTime. She can't smell me, but holy fuck, right? So he's like, hi mom. And yeah. So it was awkward as fuck. I do appreciate the fact that he was so open with who he was going on a date with, that he felt it was okay to call his mom, but it was weird to me. It was socially awkward and I didn't like it. And I'm socially awkward, and for me, it was just too much. Anyway, so it was unexpected and I thought it was worth sharing, and that was first date number 8. We talked a little bit after that, but I never saw him again, and I think it was mutual. I don't know how his mom felt about me. I mean, she seemed nice enough, but not that it matters, but anyway. All right, guys. So I feel like I have rambled enough, right? But I definitely want you guys to know that I am always here, whether I'm on the air or not. You can always find me on social media. If you need anything, you know where to fucking find me. I will always be here for you guys, okay? So wish me luck, because I'm planning something kind of cool, and I will talk to you soon. All right, so take care of each other, and